Hello, hello. Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven. It's Friday night, June 6th. That means it's TV and movie talk, discussion time. And, well, tonight has been very interesting. My regular, one of my regular co-hosts, Chris Hall, about an hour and a half ago, we usually do this Fridays at 8, but at 7:30 he calls me or texts me and says, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to the ER. So we kind of got everything recentered for scheduling. And he's still there, unfortunately, but he's getting looked at. We don't know exactly what's wrong yet, of course. So without further ado, my co-host, who is here, John Norris.
Hello. Who's had his own health issues this week, so it's not a good week for health issues, apparently.
No. So I don't know if Chris is watching on his phone while he's at the ER or what he's doing. I know they did triage and took some tests for, swabs and bloods and samples and stuff. So they're just trying to find out what's wrong so far. But hopefully we'll get some answers. He says he's here in the chat. So all right, buddy, but if you're not feeling well, don't hesitate to tap out, okay, buddy. Anyway, our movie is Devil Girl from Mars from 1954. Directed by David McDonald, written by James Eastwood and John C. Mather, produced by Edward J. and Harry Lee Danziger, starring Patricia LaFawn, Hugh McDermott, Hazel Court, Peter Reynolds, and Adrienne Corey. Edited by Peter Taylor, music by Edwin Astley, production company Danziger Productions, distributed by British Lion Films, release date October 5th, 1954, with a running time of 1 hour and 17 minutes. I'll let John read what it's about.
So what it's about, Nyah, a female commander from Mars, heads for London, England in her flying saucer. She is part of the advanced alien team looking for Earthmen to replace the declining male population on her world, the result of a devastating war between the sexes. Because of damage to her craft caused when entering the Earth's atmosphere and an apparent crash with an airliner, she is forced to land in the remote Scottish moors. She is armed with a ray gun that can paralyze or kill and is accompanied by a tall, menacing robot named Chani. Professor Arnold Hennessy, an astrophysicist, accompanied by journalist Michael Carter, is sent by the British government to investigate the effects of the crash, believed to be caused by a meteorite. The pair come to the Bonnie Charlie, a remote inn run by Mr. and Mrs. Jameson in the depths of the Scottish Highlands. At the bar, they meet Ellen Prestwick, a fashion model who came to the Bonnie Charlie to escape an affair with a married man. She quickly forms a romantic liaison with Carter. Meanwhile, escaped convict Robert Justin, under the alias Albert Simpson, convicted for accidentally killing his wife, comes to the inn to reunite with barmaid Doris, with whom he is in love. Nyah happens across the inn, incinerates the Jamesons' handyman David, and enters the bar. When she finds no one willing to come with her to Mars, she responds with intimidation, trapping the guest and staff within an invisible wall and turning Chani loose to vaporize much of the manor's grounds. Discovering Justin and Tommy, the Jamesons' young nephew, hiding in the grounds, Nyah kidnaps Tommy as a possible male specimen and sends Justin back to the inn under some manner of mind control. Nyah then brings Professor Hennessy aboard her spaceship to view the technological achievements of Martian civilization including the ship's atomic power source. In exchange for Tommy, Carter volunteers to go to Mars with Nyah. Realizing that the only road to victory over Nyah requires trickery, Hennessy suggests Carter sabotage the ship's power source after takeoff. However, Carter attempts a double cross before boarding the ship, snatching Nyah's controller for Chani, but this attempt is thwarted by Nyah's mind control powers. Carter is released by Nyah, and they both return to the bar, where she announces that she will destroy the inn and kill everyone within when she leaves for London. However, she allows for one man to go with her in order to escape death. The men draw lots, and Carter wins the draw, still hoping to enact Hennessy's plan to destroy the spaceship. At the last minute, Justin, alone at the bar and now free from mind control when Nyah returns, offers to go with her of his own free will. After takeoff, he successfully sabotages Nyah's flying saucer, sacrificing himself to save the men of Earth and atoning for the death of his wife. The survivors celebrate their escape with a drink at the bar.
Was that accurate?
Yeah.
I was kind of like, did I describe this well enough? Let me get this straight. First off, Chris is like, he's all good. He's just waiting for a bed at the hospital. There. So. Okay, let me get this straight. You have this absolutely stunning woman with a really cool leather fetish costume, his mind control powers, and the destructor robot, and yet she can't get every man in the area to obey and to follow her back to her ship, to go to Mars and make more of her, with her, and others like her. Because why exactly? I had hoped for a little more story with this movie, but of course it is a 50s B sci-fi film. I shouldn't be expecting a good script, I suppose. I don't know. The concept was okay. The writing was just a wee bit hokey. And while I think the cast did a reasonably good job in their roles, there were maybe too many characters and not enough story for everyone at times. And I felt like the ending was too predictable as well. Now, the movie didn't suck for what it is, but what it is very much a story where writers did not think things through and mostly wrote to suit an A to B to C plot without any concern for whether or not the characters' behaviors actually fit the plot. One cool thing I will have to say about this film, though, is that it was made on an extremely low budget with no retakes in the production, except for cases where the actual film stock was damaged and they had to remake it because they couldn't use the stock because it wasn't usable, physically usable. It was shot over a period of 3 weeks on a studio set that had already been paid for by the Danzigers for another project that had time left over. So this was like something that they just literally threw together at the last second. To throw something together like this in from full script and making all the costumes and getting a cast and everything together in 3 weeks' time is very impressive. So that's part of why I give it a rating I intend to give it. But what do you think? And it better be good humans, or I shall incinerate you with the burning stare of 1,000 suns. And no wonder her race is depleted of men with an attitude like that. But go ahead, John.
You know, so much for the men are from Mars bit. It was an odd film, but like you, I surprisingly didn't think it was a total waste of time. It really felt like two completely different movies coming together. And if you watch the opening credits, the opening credits actually say that it's from a play by James Eastwood and John C. Mather. So now I'm curious to know what play that was. But it is, it is part, I like once I saw that, it's like, okay, I could see like where part of the play come from, because on the one hand, it is um it is like an ensemble piece that's mainly in one central setting, that is, the lounge and the bar,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the sci-fi element on top of it.
Right.
Um, and it's almost like the antithesis of The Day the Earth Stood Still, in that, both movies are about an alien, armed, with a flying saucer and a giant robot who comes to
Mm-hmm.
Earth, although, one's intentions are good and one's intentions are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, that is actually a very astute observation, and that is something that a lot of critics pointed out, that in The Day the Earth Stood Still, um, the Klaatu character was supposed to be like a Jesus Christ figure,
mm-hmm.
whereas the Nyah character is sort of to evoke an anti-Virgin Mary. Um, that's how a lot of people have looked at it. I know that that um, I can't think of the critic's name at this point. It was long ago. Um, who's the academic film reviewer from Boston? Do you know his name off the top of your head, John?
Not off the top of my head.
But you know who I'm trying to think of?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, the other thing was they had a lot of really cool people involved in this. Jerry Anderson was the sound editor for this film.
Yeah, I just read that.
Of course, for those who don't know Jerry Anderson, we're talking about the guy who created Thunderbirds, the television series. So there was quite a bit of interesting things going on there. Because that was like some of his earliest works as a sound person. Let's see. Okay. We'll wait for the next one. But I give it a 3, basically because the film is put together so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if this had been something that they had spent months and months and months, no, it would be like a 1.5 to a 2. But for something that was put together, under such quick circumstances, I felt like they really did a decent, respectable job, for that. It's kind of
It's like it's easy when you're watching these films. It's easy to criticize and make fun of or trash them, and it's like it's easy to forget the circumstances under which a lot of these films were made.
mm-hmm.
And I mean the fact that they even turned out halfway decent is kind of a miracle in some circumstances.
Yeah. So you gave it. You did give it a 2.
I did.
And so why do you think it was a little bit less than average?
I don't know. I think it was. I think it was. I think it was more the fact that it was really a meeting of two different. I don't know if genre is the right word, but two different styles that
Mm-hmm.
I don't think quite meshed.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Well, Chris also gave it a 2, and he thought the script was cheesy and the acting was hokey, as I recall from what he said last night before he almost spoiled the movie for both of us. But for that reason, whoops. Nyah says, "Do not test my patience." You gave me a 2. That's how you want to play it. Very well done, reviewers. The ER with you, fat boy.
I should tell my story now.
Yes, you should.
So you know how sometimes it is like when you're watching a movie that you think you've never heard of, and it's like, wait a minute, maybe I have heard of this. So, because like I had never heard the title "Devil Girl from Mars" like ever until we announced it was going to be tonight's movie talk. So I'm watching it, and about halfway through, I'm thinking, I've seen this before, or at least parts of it. Like I know I've seen parts of this before, but I could not remember where. But after I watched it, I was looking on IMDb and some other places, and then I remembered where I saw it. So, so at Disney World in Hollywood Studios, what used to be Disney MGM Studios, now Hollywood Studios, there is a restaurant called the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know what it is, it's this big room, big soundstage that's been made to look like you're at an outdoor drive-in theater, like with stars and dark sky on the ceiling, and you sit in cars, and they have a screen on which they show a loop of trailers and clips from classic cheesy sci-fi movies from the 50s and 60s. And Devil Girl from Mars is one of those movies that they show clips from at that restaurant. It's
Mm-hmm.
like,
at least when you visited it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, well, there you go. I mean, what did you think of the cast?
Who'd have thought I'd eventually see the whole movie?
Yeah. So who? I mean, did you think that Patricia? Trying to think of LaFawn was good in the role of as Nyah, or did you think she was like shooting scenery, or?
I mean, I guess I wouldn't say she's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I would say she did what was asked of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she would go on to do another major role, so to speak. Probably this is her second best known role. Her best one was from 1951 when she was in Quoth as Empress Papaya. I don't know if you remember that character.
I've not seen that movie. I need to.
Okay. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I thought this would be good, because I thought, oh, wow, she was in that movie. This should be interesting, type thing. But, oh, well, I give it a 3. And the other 2 guys give it a 2. And Chris Hall got shot. That's why he's not here. So hopefully Chris will be recovered from his illness from that horrible attack. And he'll be joining us next week's film, which will be 1966's Queen of Blood, which was the second one of the 3 that we were trying to do, because Chris wanted to just do Queen of Blood with John Saxon, Basil Rathbone, and Dennis Hopper. But we ended up getting on the randomizer the Devil Girl from Mars. So we're going to do Queen of Blood next week. Has a good, strong cast seemingly. So let's hope they got a good script to work with, huh?
Yep.
So until next time, if you want to reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, on Twitter, X, LewisBrightRaven2. You can see more of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth Raven, Lewis Brightraven exclusively on YouTube. And if you want to email me, it's quothravenlbr72@gmail.com. And if I don't get back to you through that channel, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. And of course, you want to reach John, it's grayfigaro@hotmail.com. And well, hopefully Chris will be like out of the hospital soon, and we'll be able to do his show tomorrow, because I don't have any graphics for it. But tomorrow, Saturday, is Throwing Stones podcast over on the Glass House graphics YouTube channel. I'm forgetting their names again. I know it's like Laura Maria Sanapo and her husband, and I always forget her husband's name. Fortunately, they're the guests, and it is pre-recorded, so hopefully it'll at least show up on time for that. So they'll be interviewed tomorrow. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, folks.
Good night.
Nevermore.
Nevermore.